Me va a doler un huevo ver esta puta talla. Buenas, soy ahorita Death Battle. Saitama versus Popeye, OnePunch Man versus tu puta madre en bragas. Sorprendentemente, mucha gente vota por Saitama. Yo, obviamente, quiero que gane Saitama. Creo que es un poco bastante obvio. Pero sé que, bueno, como siempre digo, un cartoon... O sea, hay algo más roto que... Estamos en la pelea de personaje anime, manga, cómics... Y luego están los personajes cartoon. ¿Vale? ¿Por qué? Porque son ilógicos. Es un personaje de cartoon. Y como estos trozos de mierda retrasados de los cojones de Death Battle hacen ver una escena cómica como algo técnicamente realista, como lo de el pato Donald o el aristopato, que es una escena técnicamente remota de una isla a otra, y eso técnicamente tiene el poder para hacer eso. Claro. ¿Ves? Pues son gilipollas. Pues eso, estamos jodidos. Así que no. Popeye creo que rompe la realidad una vez, así que es que está por culo. Da igual. Saitama debería ganar, obviamente en todos los aspectos, pero no va a ganar. Pero bueno, que me entretenga la pelea.
Saitama, the One-Punch Man.
Popeye, the Sailor Man.
East versus West. Old versus new.
Healthy eating versus basic exercise.
These two warriors may seem ridiculous,
¿Lo
but
ves?
their unassuming exteriors belie impossible strength.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
Life is pain, brutal and short. The challenges we face during our brief sojourn on this tiny blue marble are what make us human. They light a fire in our soul. They make it all worth something. Without them, we are lost.
Yeah, it's a little early in the day for an existential crisis, but luckily I came prepared.
For this failed salaryman, all it took to get that fiery passion back was to save this butt-chin child from a crab monster in underwear. That was a sentence.
This man was Saitama, and he was going to be a superhero.
And so he trained, pushing his body beyond its limits and shattering the boundaries of humanity.
So hard, his frickin' hair fell out.
Saitama's strength grew exponentially day by day, with the goal of becoming the greatest hero who ever lived.
And much to his horror, that's exactly what he got.
All it took was one punch.
He became too strong. He became the one, the only, the infamous Kate Baldy.
But anyone who's cool knows him as OnePunch Man, as in he can't help but beat almost every opponent he's faced in exactly one punch. One friggin' punch! And this is a universe with some pretty whacked out monsters, like a giant who's over 1/4 kilometer tall and can stomp city-sized craters into the earth.
Or an Esper who can effortlessly pull giant meteors from outer space.
Or a Monster King who shaved off a continent from the Earth's surface and lifted it into the stratosphere. And Saitama's never even broken so much as a sweat fighting any of them.
During their battle, that same
Contaboros
Monster
se
King
contonía.
absorbed this huge chunk of the Earth's core and fired it at Saitama.
Who blocked it by squirt gunning some lava at it. The lava he was bathing in, naked. And then he punched him.
En lava.
Surprise.
Saitama's created after images just by hopping side
En
to side,
lava.
defeated a martial arts master with his butt, and survived the inhospitable vacuum of space after being kicked all the way to the moon and before jumping back to Earth in about 16 seconds. That's 8% the speed of light.
Kinda like the time he blocked attacks from this alien dude who stated to move near light speed, or punched so fast his fist starts to blue shift. You know, that thing that happens when you approach the speed of light?
Saitama utilizes his absurdly superhuman strength and speed with techniques like his devastating normal punch. And if he wants to amp it up, the consecutive normal punches.
Are you kidding me? Those are his attack names? What kind of self-respecting anime protagonist is he?
Plain and simple, he's a satire of one. Instead of seeing his journey from the beginning and enjoying his struggle to the top, we join him when he's already there.
Eso es lo de la lava es un Omega. Igual cuando pelea con Tatsumaki.
Kinda sucks all the drama out of it, doesn't it?
And that's the point. Far from the power fantasy the genre is known for, Saitama's life became an existential nightmare. Without suitable conflict, the struggle that had heretofore defined him became meaningless. His new reality was inescapably boring.
Which is really saying something when he can decimate mountains without even hitting them, or shatter asteroids that rank a 9 on the Torino scale. For those not in the Torino, that's equal to 1 trillion tons of TNT. This guy's training must have been insane!
100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 squats, then a 10-kilometer run! Do it every single day!
You've gotta be shitting me.
It doesn't make sense because it's not allowed to make sense. To be fair though, to someone who isn't already a trained soldier or athlete, keeping that workout routine every day for years is pretty much impossible.
While 100 push-ups and sit-ups are technically doable, especially if you space them out, doing 100 squats and then running half a marathon every single day would absolutely destroy your legs.
Put simply, effective workouts involve shredding muscle fibers at the micro level, then allowing them time to repair themselves, more durable than before. This repair process requires hydration, consuming protein and carbohydrates, and lots of sleep.
But Saitama's workout schedule doesn't give them time to repair, which means he was basically just ripping himself to shreds over and over and over. After a few days, he shouldn't even have been able to move, but he just kept going.
There might be an explanation. Take the brilliant scientist Dr. Genus, whose half-century of research into evolution Saitama erased in, well, one punch. According to Genus's hypothesis, Saitama's training broke his limiter.
Basically, every living thing on Earth has a limit to their natural abilities. At some point, no matter how badass they are, they'll plateau. Wait a minute. Have I peaked? I gotta go to the gym!
Well, Saitama trained so hard, he literally defied the laws of nature and reality. He just breaks the logic of his world. He crushed the entire field of evolutionary biology in the palm of his hand.
And while he has stated that his strength did eventually stop growing, it's pretty clear he's never gotten close to showing it off in full.
Such as when he fought the godlike alien conqueror Lord Boros.
O sea, Saitama dice en un momento que su fuerza dejó de crecer. Pero también dice que nunca ha demostrado su máximo poder. Lo cual es... ¿Me explico? ¿Cómo sabe eso?
And finally broke out his serious punch. A blow where he punches a little harder than normal.
And reflected Boros' collapsing star-roaring cannon. Now you see, that's an attack name. An energy blast that was going to blow up the friggin' planet. That's over 50 zetatons of TNT. Like a quadrillion of the world's strongest nukes going off at once.
Despite his obvious and overwhelming power, Saitama's accomplishments were never officially recognized. As if no one in their right minds could believe a psych ward Charlie Brown could save the world.
Well, he doesn't seem to mind. Almost as if being removed from anything resembling conflict gave him a perspective on how tropey and contrived his world is. Only Saitama's the only one in on the joke, because who cares about how far up their own ass a supervillain is when you can just chill at home with your buds and play video games?
Maybe that was the real lesson all along. Not to value our lives based on our accomplishments, but on the time we spend living and enjoying life's simple pleasures.
I'll leave that to Saitama, and I can't think of anything more pleasurable than punching so hard my name becomes a byword for literally unbeatable. The dude is the undisputed king of broken anime characters, because until Saitama finds his equal, he's gonna end all his fights in one punch!
I guess that takes care of that.
Popeye the Sailor Man, hero, adventurer, sailor, man.
Oh, 2 against 1, huh? How do you like that?
Man, he sounds like he smokes a pack of Marlboro Factories every day. And if you ever wanted to know what angry cat sex sounds like, he can sing.
I'm Popeye.
¿Habéis visto eso? Le ha pegado una hostia, transformado en... Es que no se puede.
A sailor man.
How exactly do you know Never mind. Popeye's origins are humble. Born to the cruelly named Poop Deck Pappy, Popeye was, immediately upon birth, horrifically ugly. So ugly, his father fled in embarrassment of his spawn and never returned.
So Popeye grew up with a chip on his shoulder and a pop in his eye, especially after discovering his higher calling, beating the snot out of people.
Don't worry, Popeye's fists are righteous, only spilling the snot of those who deserve it. Inspired by his adopted father, Whaler Joe, Popeye set out to put his combat prowess to the test and join the Navy, becoming a true sailor man.
It was there he learned the sweet science of boxing and to battle against World War II era racial stereotypes. I'm being non-specific, not just for sensitivity, but because there are so many examples.
Originating in the era of rubber hose animation, Popeye's body is essentially made of, well, rubber, able to stretch, twist, squish, and squash any way he likes.
Or rev up his arm for a punch that'll knock you around the planet.
Popeye's punches are fascinating, since they can disincorporate their targets into composite elements, like turning anchors into fishhooks, an alligator into handbags, and several Native Americans. You know, I don't even want to know.
I think the reason's pretty simple, Wiz. He's a cartoon. He can basically do whatever he wants.
Ahí
He
está.
can shoot fire from his corncob pipe, pull a canyon closed, punch bolts of lightning out of the air, and even give the sun a black eye.
Judging by the distance the sun is from the Earth, as well as the time it took for the high striker
¿En
puck to
serio
reach
están
it,
calculando esto? ¿En serio estás calculando esta gilipollez enorme? ¡El sol tiene cara, gilipollas!
the puck must have been moving at 500 times the speed of light. In order to generate that force, Popeye must have swung his fist just as fast. Hell, he's even shadowboxed so fast, he's somehow occupied 2 places at once and hit himself.
So, was he just born this way? Is being ugly the secret to pulling insane bullshit superpowers out of your ass? Because if so, you might want to get on that, buddy.
No. The secret to Popeye's immense physical strength is simply the virtue of nutrition.
I knew you'd find a way to make it lame.
Specifically, Popeye has spent his life consuming a miracle herb that has turned him from a mere sailor into a veritable god. Spinach.
Propaganda straight from the bean counters at Big Vegetable. You'll never get me to eat my greens, damn you! It's only animal flesh and grain alcohol for me!
Originating in Persia, Spinacia oleracea is a leafy green nutrient and antioxidant-rich vegetable that can help prevent cancer and reduce blood pressure.
And apparently imbue your biceps with the power of God and anime.
While a normal can of spinach contains about 44 calories, when used in Popeye's world, its effects are multiplied. Not only does it immediately increase Popeye's already impressive strength and
Acaba de decirlo, en el mundo de Popeye. En el mundo de Popeye también es de cartón todo el mundo, por lo cual el puñetazo que le ha pegado a este pavo, que debería explotarlo como pasa con Saitama cuando golpea a alguien tan fuerte, no pasa lo mismo porque son de cartón, por lo cual no puede calcular la potencia cuando un personaje está hecho de cartón. Pero lógica.
speed even further.
Quiere
It makes
poner
him
lógica, pero no pone la
virtually
lógica que le
impervious to
dice poner.
harm.
It lets him fly, turn invisible, shapeshift his body into literally anything, and even survive the universe getting turned off. That's right, this big whatever the hell that thing is apparently God, and he turned off reality in order to kill Popeye and his friends. Cause why not? Except guess what? Popeye was fine. Why? Because he eats his spinach.
I wonder what its nutritional content is like. Let's find out with math.
No!
A single can of spinach in Popeye's world was once able to grow a beanstalk so tall it reached into outer space, all the way to a nearby solar system, and shattered this stylized yellow star. By measuring the volume of this spinach stalk and including the caloric density of regular spinach, we can calculate one single can of Popeye's spinach contains over 46 undecillion calories. That's over 700 octillion times greater than the total calories the average person will consume over their entire life.
That's over 46 million Yoda tons of TNT, enough to destroy Well, a star, or enough to punch your annoying neighbor so hard that when they land, they tilt the Earth.
By measuring the angle of the planet after tilting, we can determine its axis was adjusted by about 13 degrees in less than a second. That's a speed of about 1.8 million meters per second.
I wonder, is that enough to power a rocket ship so fast it travels backwards in time? Yeah, 'cause that happened. I only know of one type of herb that'll take you through time. Whatever kind of spinach it is, it sure ain't normal.
Not true. Popeye doesn't consume some special magical spinach. Any kind will do, even if it's handed to him by the audience in the real world watching his cartoon.
He can summon cans to his side by whistling for them, praying to gods, painting them into reality, or just waving his hand. The dude has literally been disintegrated into nothingness, then his nothingness grabbed a spinach can out of nowhere and ate it. Nothing ate it. His nothing. And then he came back with his I don't know.
He can even punch so hard he tears the film strip he's being animated on, or exit his cartoon to beat the shit out of his own animator.
So Popeye's basically fought two different versions of God and
Pelealo
whooped
con
their asses.
Deadpool, coño.
He's a pretty chill broski, considering he's basically a spinach-eating Lovecraftian nightmare.
But he's always down for a scrap. So if you decide to antagonize him, be
Con
aware
la
you're messing
máscara, no
with
me
one of
jodas,
cartoon's
tontería.
all-time heavyweight champions. And for your own sake, eat your fucking vegetables.
I'm Popeye the Sailor Man.
All right, the combatants are set. We've run the data through all possibilities.
But first, in case you're starting to feel those winter blues, check out BetterHelp.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy.
We talk about BetterHelp a lot on this show, and this month we're
And Death Battle viewers get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/deathbattle.
That's BETTERHELP.com/deathbattle. But right now, it's time for a death battle!
Oh man, scrap's always so expensive. No thanks.
Guys, can't stand no one bad-mouthing me spinach. Put 'em up, yes, big palooka.
Whatever.
Give me a 1 and a 2 and a 100 and a heat. Oh, yes, okay. Gonna get this thing here. That would be a pulley. Well, blow me down. Ya ain't got a scratch on yas.
I know, right? Overwhelming strength is so boring.
Death.
I can't read that.
Se defiende con espinacas.
Huh?
Bueno. Zucker.
Okay.
A little bit more interesting now.
¿Le quito los bits?
You sure is one crazy gazookas.
I'm just a guy who's a hero for fun. Who the hell are you?
Yep, I
Popeye
am
is
what I am, and that's all what
¡Guía
I
tarde!
What do you know? How am I gonna get back home?
¿Por qué va a hacer el Saitama? Dice, pues a ver. Bueno, contra... Spoiler. Me cayó. ¡Y otra también animación! ¡Venga, Popeye, mamadísimo! ¡Venga! ¿Por qué sí?
Amazing! This is amazing! How did you get so strong?
Espinacas.
It's me spinach.
Y esto como animación.
Can this be? My heart's beating so fast. My muscles ache. I can feel them again.
That's all I can stand, 'cause I can't stand no more.
I never thought it would happen. A serious fight. I found it! Thank you, weird spinach mascot.
¿Y el otro? Muy bien.
He took a big gamble, but now he is scrambled. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man.
Ah, bien, me la está
I
buenísima.
guess you could say that fight was over easy. Wait, except isn't Saitama's whole gag that he can't lose?
It is, but it's more nuanced than that. Despite breaking his limiter, Saitama's strength isn't limitless. He's said so himself.
Breaking his limiter meant his potential strength was likely infinite, but there's nothing left in his world powerful enough to push him to get stronger, like a bodybuilder stuck with 5-pound dumbbells.
He also doesn't possess some magical ability to kill someone in one punch regardless of effort. Powerful adversaries like Boros and Garo have survived his blows repeatedly, albeit briefly, and he's never met anyone
Por
quite like
regeneración.
Popeye the Sailor Man.
According to the mangaka, OnePunch Man's gag is that Saitama is an anime protagonist at the end of his series, slapped in at the beginning of his series, where he's too strong to have a challenge.
So, if we know Saitama's strength does have a limit, what is it?
We know he can deflect Boros' planet-destroying blast, but he was clearly super casual about it. He may have called it his serious punch, but that's the joke. He's only now getting kind of serious.
In order to get as generous a number as possible, let's assume Saitama was exerting the least amount of effort he could to throw that punch. Since he's still technically a human, we can assume the ratio between the least amount of effort possible and the most is relatively consistent with other humans. Let's just say he burned the equivalent of only 1 calorie relative to the strongest punch ever recorded, which was over 1,000 joules. For reference, the average person burns about 1 calorie a minute doing absolutely nothing. So this is assuming Saitama is literally as casual as physically possible.
That'd make his strongest punch about 200 times greater than his weakest. Using Boros' energy blast as a base, Saitama's theoretical strongest punch would be over 11 yotatons of TNT. That's absolutely insane. Enough to annihilate Uranus 4 times over.
That's impressive, but that's still far less than Popeye's
Uranus.
star-busting power, which was millions of times greater. Sure, this is only an estimate. We don't know Saitama's full strength exactly. But the point is, whatever it may be, it can be measured.
That's right, but trying to compare them with just numbers isn't the whole story.
While Saitama can break his world fairly easily, it's still a semi-realistic world that generally obeys the
Ahí
laws of
está.
physics.
Popeye in his world,
Lo acabo de decir. Es semi-realista, bueno, realista dentro de su lógica. Popeye no, es un cartoon.
on the other hand, can't really be measured at all. The dude's occupied 2 places at the same time, ripped the film strip he's animated on, and knocked out the guy drawing him. Can't do math to figure that out. Popeye's just on a whole other level of bullshit.
Even if Saitama was strong enough to kill Popeye in one punch, Popeye has survived being fully disintegrated, only to recover good as new. Hell, God turned off all of reality and Popeye just ignored it.
And on the flip side, there was nothing stopping Popeye from just turning Saitama into a bunch of eggs. which he can do without spinach. So even if Popeye was weaker, he'd still have a way to finish the job in one punch.
Saitama was easily one of the strongest combatants we've ever seen, but pure strength was no match for Popeye's insane power, survivability, and plain old cartoon shenanigans.
If you thought nothing could match the One Punch Man, now you know Popeye's Spinach Can.
The winner is Popeye.
Obvio.
And that's a wrap for our
Pero la
anniversary
verdad está
season.
muy
Thank
buena,
you
las
so
cosas
much
como
for
son,
watching
me ha
and supporting
encantado.
us for over a decade. Here's to another as Death Battle will return in
A ver,
2022.
¿Kimetsu? Wow. Ah, que esto era el final, por eso tan buena. Vale. He visto Tanjiro, he visto Akira, lo cual es interesante,
In
con su super
2022.
telequinesis. Vale, ese es Kimetsu no Yaiba, Tanjiro. Esa es Wanda, creo. Tanjiro, Wanda, Akira. ¿Wanda contra Akira? Gana Wanda. Eso es lo que es. ¿Star Wars? No. Mierda. Ese es Vegeta explotando. Ese era Vegeta explotando. Sí, es Wanda, vale. Este no sé qué es. Esto no tengo ni puta idea. Pero este es la explosión de Vegeta. Con suicidio. Y esta es Wanda. ¿Quién coño va a pelear contra Wanda? Personaje más roto. ¿Esto es Naruto? O Akira, otra vez, no sé. ¡Jinx! ¡Jinx! ¡Esa es Jinx! ¡Get Jinx! ¡Es el opening de Get Jinx! ¿Jinx contra quién? ¿Jinx contra quién? Una explo... Uff. Y no sé qué es eso tampoco. Vale. No sé qué es esto. Ah, una explosión, pero saber. Vale, a ver, tenemos a Jinx, Akira, Wanda, Vegeta. No sé qué es esto. ¿Dónde está, no? Wanda... Ah, y Tanjiro. Voy a poneros en los comentarios cada uno, ¿vale? Y a ver si adivináis contra quién le van a poner, ¿vale? Voy a poner Tanjiro va a pelear y vosotros comentáis en el comentario qué creéis contra quién que vais... Ya sabéis, contra quién creéis que va a pelear. Lo que no sabemos hasta cuándo vuelve, no sé. Pero bueno, a ver también cuánto coño se puede subir esta batalla, porque lo que tarda con la mierda del puto copyright de el bot que tiene la puta mierda de los Teeth. Pero bueno, hasta marzo 2022. Hay que esperar, ¿eh? Hay que esperar. Dale like.